Within the Level 4 Certificate in Education and Training, you'll need to analyse different teaching and learning approaches that you use in your own subject specialism in relation to meet individual learning needs. To sum up, pick 6 approaches that you use and then analyse how they meet individual learning needs. So I'm going to use my friend Steve as an example. Steve teaches project management by lecturing to a large group of learners. He feels that although he uses a computerized presentation and handouts, his learners are not actively participating in any way. So he decides to make his sessions more practical by introducing group discussions and role play of projects. So several learners approach him after the session to say how much they enjoyed it. So he now uses this approach each time to mix theory and practice. He has set up the organization's virtual learning environment to encourage interaction outside of the classroom and to upload videos and audio clips for learners to access. He also finishes each session with a quiz to test knowledge gained. In a Level 4 Certificate in Education and Training, it's not always about what I will teach, but also how learners will learn. So I need to consider my activities of my learners. So these teaching and learning strategies should stimulate learning, but also be appropriate to the subject you teach. So let's say I'm teaching IT. I don't teach IT, by the way, but if learners needed to learn how to use a computer, I probably won't get them doing too much group work. You don't want everyone gathered around the same computer, but you could make adjustments by all working together, but using a computer each, so they are practicing their skills. So they got more access to a computer. In a Level 4 Certificate in Education Training, I actively use presentation and PowerPoint in particular. And this is great for visual learners so they can see everything, but PowerPoint is not for everyone. Therefore, you need to combine your PowerPoint with other activities to meet the needs of different learning styles. I use PowerPoint as a lesson structure where my learners can see everything that's going on, but we break from it. So we'll stop and complete role plays, demonstration scenarios, but then we always go back to the PowerPoint. There is a flaw to the PowerPoint as it can be boring, but by breaking into different activities, we can stimulate learning towards other learning styles. And I use it so I don't go off on tangent and talk about something else, which I always end up doing. So I don't use lecturing when teaching a Level 4 Certificate in Education Training, generally because I was never a fan at university and I never teach in large groups. Lecturing often limits interaction with learners and is best suited for auditorial learners. Personally, I would switch off, but again, you can lecture and break up the activities by asking questions. You could also give out handouts for learners to read so it caters for more learning styles. Demonstrations are great as they appeal to kinesthetic learners. They show exactly how something is done and potentially in a safe manner. When I teach first aid, a bulleted list of how to give CPR is not anywhere near as effective as showing it. If I cannot show it, I can get my learners involved or explore YouTube channels to give good examples, and it appeals to visual and kinesthetic learners. Role plays are fun and they are great for engagement and stimulation, but you need to be careful about audience. Introverted learners like me do not like to participate in these activities as they feel stupid. This is not an emotion we want to create, and if you are teaching in a corporate sector, often your managers don't want to look foolish in front of their employees, so you need to be very careful here. On the other hand, extroverts and creative individuals will love role plays. We've mainly talked about learning styles, but think about learning disabilities and personal circumstances to see what learning and teaching approaches are most suitable. Let's say I'm looking after my children today. I'm likely going to need an activity which I can do in my own time and at home. Before selecting your teaching and learning activities, determine what you will need to teach and who you are teaching.